Hello and welcome everybody to another edition of the Jam and Cheese Show. Cheese fresh in after a disappointing loss. Before we get into that, big news, our shirts are now live. So the new merch is ready and available for you. So if you like the look of this and the one that Charlie White was wearing in white with a nice little logo or cartoon image of me and referee Gerard Sutton, head to thebuyround.com. And check it out. Available in a multitude of sizes. Help support the show. But Cheese, yes, in for a bit of a review over the weekend's games. Starting with your game. To be fair, mate, I thought it was there for the taking.
Disappointing. It's not really the word I'd use to describe it. Like, obviously, it sucks to lose, but I thought there was a lot to like about our game and plenty of effort. I mean, every try was on the fifth tackle, and some of those are, questionable ones. And like I said, still pretty happy with the performance of the team. And it's just we played a good side that have won some good games late as well, and unfortunately we were on the back end of that.
You've been a bit sick in the week, hadn't you? Because we called the game for Triple M. I was thinking, well, Brandon Smith needs to get back out there.
Yeah,
you'd said that.
I don't think I'd come off of the sickness most part, but I was sick throughout the week. I didn't train. I thought I had the vid. I didn't want to test for it because then I was guaranteed to be ruled out. So
what?
Well, the COVID. I thought I had that. Like, my back was sore.
Well, hang on. If you have
COVID, you can't play.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think it's safe.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because it's like a respiratory thing.
Why would you ever test for it?
Exactly, I didn't test for it. That's what I'm saying. Don't test for it if you get it. It's a little tip.
I didn't even know COVID was still...
I didn't have it, but I thought I had it.
Did you test?
No, I didn't test. That's
why I don't know that you don't have it.
Exactly. Oh, well, I don't think I had it.
Ignorance is bliss, as they say. If they're still... As if that's still a thing.
Anyway. No, but the thing is, like, if I go in and play, give the rest of the team COVID, it's not very good. And it's, it's pretty contagious.
But it's the same, like, when people have a bit of a cold or a bit of flu, it's like...
Yeah, but it's a little bit stronger. Yeah.
Well,
that's
Dr. Graham and Dr. Smith disagree.
That's a topic for another day. But yeah, it's, now that I'm thinking about it, it is pretty disappointing. We probably gave away too many areas. I would have liked to come back on when they were down a man.
Yes, that was telling, the inability to take advantage of a 12-man Storm team. Yeah,
they're a good side though.
They are. They're a really good side. What did you make of the Katoa try with Nelson adding the weight? Obviously, your coach was pretty scathing of it.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously scathing. We've just come off a loss, and it's a tough one because, like, if that's a 70-kilo bloke pushing you in the back, it's probably not as telling. But a guy with 130 kilos behind his back and pushing 127, he says on Instagram though, 58 skiddies. I don't know. I don't think it's too bad. Myself, we, in the great scheme of things, we had enough players around Ali Katoa to stop that try.
Yeah.
We had three people on top of him. He broke 3 tackles.
I thought when he was held upright, it was over.
Yeah, I thought the one on Joey where he got sort of, because that disruptor rule's been going around heaps.
Yeah.
And he sort of got pushed. Like, he was going for the ball, but then when he realised he couldn't get the ball, he kind of had a little shove, and that's probably why Joey dropped the ball. But again, on that same try, Xavier Coates beat 3 defenders. If you have a look at that try at the end, we have a wall of defenders in front of him.
Yeah.
Then one missed a tackle, and then he managed to get through. And so, like, both those things were just moments in games that we probably missed. And the rule, regardless of the rules, the refs miss 100 penalties a game.
Yeah.
If we had just done better in defence, we stopped those tries. And that's the fact of the matter. It's got nothing to do with whether the decision was right or wrong. we were in position to stop those tries.
Has there been any conversations in and
That
around
was
the
sort of
Roosters playing group that it's like, it's on us here, boys?
That was the conversation. Yeah, that's why it come straight to mind. It was when we went through the review, like, yes, they may have got it wrong, but if you look at that picture where Xavier's coach scored, you would never imagine he's about to put the ball over the line, because we've got 3 to 4 defenders in a line, not much space between them, and it just took a brilliant effort from Xavier coach to get a try. So, same with Ali Katoa, we had those 3 defenders, and he managed to break the tackle. So, disappointing that, but at the end of the day, that's how it goes. No, I can't cry about it now.
Yeah. Just before we go into the rest of the weekend's results and some of the fallout from that, Anzac Day game this weekend. You've been a part of a couple of them. Sorry, not this weekend, on Thursday. It's obviously a very emotional occasion. You played a number at the Storm when you were there, and you played last year's Anzac Day game for the Roosters. What will you guys be doing this week? Because it is different, and it does
this
mean
is probably
more.
At the Roosters. This is probably the biggest game of the year. Like, Bunnies, they have that rivalry. That since I've been at the club, that has no comparison compared to the week that we sort of go through and learn about the Anzac, learn about the history of Bondi and what they sort of went through, and that's why the Bondi Blue come in. They ran out of ink and they had to use minimal ink with water. That's where the Bondi Blue colour comes from. But they go through a lot throughout the week. We've already gone to the barracks down in Paddington. Went through, did like a tour. It was tough because it was the day after the game we did it, and I only had an hour sleep, and I was listening to war stories for 3 hours. But always an extreme honour to be able to play on this game, and I know how much it means to the boys, and the way the Dragons went last week, it's shaping up to be a hell of a game.
Yeah, it should be a great game, and it is. It's one of those, like, as a player, you feel a privilege to be a part of. It's an experience that's quite difficult to articulate when you're out there and you're in a 50,000 seater stadium full, and it's silent, and then they play the last post, and and obviously there's a lot of reflection, a lot of education, a lot of learning in the week about what these men went through, and the sacrifices that they made, and it puts things into perspective. But
absolutely, like, I only just found out as well during that thing that they're celebrating a loss. Like, the Anzacs, they went over and they had to withdraw, but they're celebrating the fact that 2 countries side by side came together, and they ended up having to withdraw from Turkey. I thought it was completely different to that, but it's just two countries coming together for a greater cause, and fortunately I'm from one of the countries and get to celebrate it against and with teammates from neighbouring countries.
I actually really admire Australia and New Zealand's commitment to this day. Obviously we have Remembrance Sunday back in England, but for Anzac Day in Australia and New Zealand, it feels as though everybody that's a part of the nations stop and reflects and pays tribute to those people that paid the ultimate price, were willing to pay the ultimate price, those people that were left at home without their loved ones, that didn't get to say goodbye, and for the freedoms that we have today, that we can sort of celebrate. And we get to play a game of rugby league and put on a show for these people. It is pretty cool.
It was eye-opening, the tour. They had they told some stories about people that were younger than me that were leading their divisions, and sadly lost their lives because they were just being a leader, and one went out and he sensed there was danger, went out by himself, sniped, gone.
Yeah.
And that's a guy my age. We go to war every week, but this is nothing compared to what those guys went through.
I remember with Wayne Bennett took us to Menin Gate when we played the Kiwis in 2018, that test series. And he came in, and on the first day of camp schedule, or first couple of, you get your schedule through. So we're going to France and Belgium. What we doing there? Went and did some tours of some, like I say, Men in Gate, and there was a couple of others. The name escapes me, but we went with this tour guide, a guy who's in the Navy, and we were speaking about, he educated us on all the stuff that happened, the numbers. You see these graves, the huge monuments, but then he said, like, in World War One, like, rugby league players, like, they had to stop and go and fight. Like, go far out. Like, so people just like us, like, literally people like us, like, first team players were out there fighting for war. And he goes, 30 of them didn't come back. And I was like, oh my God. Like,
yeah,
it's hard. It's really difficult to imagine. But then you kind of think, because you're a footballer, an athlete, you are treated differently. COVID showed that, like, sport keeps the country going. But in a wartime, and there's conscription and everything like that, it's like, no, we're all chipping in for a greater cause here. Sport's going to be on the back burner, and 30 of them didn't come back. It's just insane. That's what 100 and just over 100 years ago.
That's like 10% of the comp.
Yeah,
that's just,
it is.
They spoke about the relevance of rugby league at the moment as well for the Anzac game. I think there's a game prior to ours, like a curtain raiser game, and all those players, they raise money to go towards veterans and people that have families that have lost lives. So it's a great way for us to try honour and bring views and eyes and help for donations. So hopefully we can put on a good game. And obviously that's a tiny part of what we can do, but it plays a big part in a lot of people's lives.
One of the things that always struck a chord with me as well is, like, these guys that they went together in the mateship. Like, when you play football, you're there for one another and there's mateship, but when you're in the trenches with one another, like, going through that fear together, like,
it's so weird. Last week when I was in the change rooms, like, it was all like very airy and quiet, and I was looking around, everyone prepping, and I actually had this thought, because we were already talking about Anzac before, and I actually had this thought. I was like, imagine if I was like, this is my squad sitting behind a wall, just getting ready to absolutely go out there and just literally go to war with a gun. And I was thinking, this is exactly what I imagine it would feel like, just sitting there. Obviously a lot on an extreme level, but it was exactly what I was thinking about. It's crazy. And I said it to Rads, I was like, bro, imagine we were about to go to war right now. And he was like, lad, we are. I was like, yeah, but I mean, like, proper legit, war.
Yeah. Mate, I've been to this place in France, and you can actually go in the trenches and look across and see what it's like. Mate, the craziest thing about it is, it's like, if you don't go, you know what you're going into. But if you don't go, your own...
Yeah, you're not living with that.
Well, no, they don't. They used to, if you refuse to go over, they just shoot you.
Fuck.
Like, imagine being left with that choice. But anyway, we'll get back to the football. But I think, it's...
Speaking of war.
It's... I'm really looking forward to this Thursday, to being there. It's, a privilege just to be in the stadium at times like this and pay our respects for those men and women that paid the ultimate price and continue to fight to give us our freedoms of today. But so some breaking news. Kalyn Ponga set to miss at least 12 weeks with a Liz Frank injury. That's a foot injury. Obviously, me and you aren't doctors. We know it's bad news. This is horrible for Kalyn Ponga. I was at that game yesterday. He was limping around. He was trying his best for his team. He went in at half time, came back out, and then it was just, it was no good. So credit to him for trying to push on. But this is disastrous news for Newcastle Knights and for Kalyn. The Knights, I think he'll obviously miss State of Origin now as well. Takes a bit of pressure off Billy Slater in terms of who he picks for the fullback, but a huge blow to the reigning Dally M Player of the Year.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I sort of been around a few Liz Frank injuries. Jerome Hughes done one when I was playing with him at Melbourne. That was like 14 or 16 weeks, I think it was. And he did the same. He tried to play the game out, and it's just no good. You can't even walk. Like, the fact that you try to push your body through something like that, like you got to tip your cap to him. But
that's footballers, right? They just want to play. I'll be right. And we saw Kalyn do it the week before. Yeah,
you don't know it's that bad. Like you think, I've got a sore foot, but you don't know it's a Liz Frank, and you got to feel for him. And the Knights, like I don't know who their replacement would be. Who like you?
Not really. There's no. Maybe Will Price would come in
know who that is.
in some capacity. He's an English lad, but he's more of a 5'8" than he is a fullback. Maybe move Gegai to fullback. I'm not, but the Knights really, mate. They're 2-5 to start the season. I think it's safe to. I think Kalyn Ponga is the most important individual for a team's chances. Not too dissimilar to the old Tommy Teborovich. I don't know if the Knights can get anywhere near the 8 without him.
Yeah,
I think they're.
Yeah, I think they'll struggle, but it's a tough one to say at round 7.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and no doubt this will be the narrative. They're saying that you're a one-man team. They're not, but he influences. Well, it was clear. It was clear when they played you guys the other week, and the 10-minute period where he was injured and unable to compete. Like, they looked a different team.
Yeah, well, because everything runs off him.
Yeah.
All the defences, they mark up on him. If he's on one side, they'll load that side up, and then they can attack the other edge. And it's a tough blow. I mean, he is a $1.4 million star. That's a lot of your cap.
He's the highest paid player in the game.
Yeah, that is your cap taking a massive hit. Yeah. I wonder if they'll get some relief, and if there's anyone that could potentially be a lone player. And
I don't know. Not in the. There's no glaring candidate.
Yeah,
but it's awful news for Kalyn. Awful news for the Knights, and look, they were quite poor yesterday. Credit to the Bulldogs. I was really impressed with their level of performance, but I think the Dogs lose starting front rower Chris Patolo in like the opening minutes. Sam Hughes comes on. They're left with a 3-man bench. It was Morin, Hayward, and Taff on the bench.
Did they switch up Addo-Carr's side or Crichton's side?
Crichton moved to Jerry played on the left last week.
Yeah.
And Crichton played on the right last week, so I think they're going to stick with that.
Yeah. I think that worked well.
But like that bench rotation of Hayward, Taff, and Morin, like the middle forwards of Newcastle, like how do you not look to try and dominate? Like they literally won.
I think you're wired a bit different to some of the people that are playing now, though.
But
I think you'd see that as a challenge, and I was just playing around, but I can see where you're coming from, but it's just a fucking shit show.
Yeah, like Newcastle, like the Bulldogs look really good, like especially defensively, and they've got that little bit of strike, and it's trending in the right direction. They're on the bye, then they play the Tigers, which is going to be another big game for them. And the Tigers are looking a lot better as well, despite their loss against the Panthers. But for the Knights, this is Coach Adam O'Brien's worst nightmare coming true.
Absolutely,
in Kalyn Ponga.
And I wonder how he'll use the narrative that everyone's.
Well, that's it. I think for him, he's got to be like they're saying you're a one-man team. That's it. He's got to fire something within those people to say, we're going to get after this. We're going to prove to the world that they're wrong. I think he needs to make a call on his halves. Who's your 5'8", who's your 7? He's chopped and changed that enough, and they need that. They need to know that the coach has got faith in them, whether it's Gamble, Hastings, Cogger, whichever it is, it pick it and stick with it. Like they chop and change all the time.
Yeah.
which isn't good. Like coaches complain when that's an injury, and it's like, oh, we can't get any combinations working with our hearts. Well, Newcastle are doing this to themselves, but it's looking like it will. Despite the fact they'll drive that narrative, it looks as if it will be a long year. Jack Hetherington as well. Went back to his old school self. I love that. He's done really well to maintain his head.
Yeah. Did he get a fine?
Quite a while. I think he's been one match ban.
Yeah.
I think apparently he went down the tunnel, went into the changing room, and then when he found out Reed Marnie was coming, he went back out and was like, "Let's go." Reed Marnie, though, like standing up to Jack Hetherington, like good on him.
He looks a bit like a stung mullet, though.
He's got some balls, like.
Yes, I've heard.
Hetherington is.
I've heard he's a bad man, Hetherington, but I've never had any run-ins with him, thankfully. Maybe Reed might have made him angry.
He stoked the fire there. Hetherington's been on a bit of a good boy attitude, and his old swinging arms aren't there anymore, and he's not firing up. But it's been repressed. It's all bottled up inside him, and he saw Reed Marnie go at him. Like they were going at each other even when the referee like it had all been stopped.
It's funny. Jack Hetherington used to live with Joey Manu. They could not be two more opposite.
Oh, really?
People. Yeah.
What were they doing living together?
I have no idea, but he was talking about it yesterday. I was talking to him on the phone, Joey, and then I was just watching the video, and then I said to Joey, I was like, "Have you seen that Jack Hetherington?" He's like, "Yeah, he used to make fun of me all the time because I've read the Bible and stuff." And now I think he's picked it up.
Really?
Yeah.
Good for
That's
him.
the good boy attitude coming out.
Good for him. Why were they living together?
I absolutely cannot tell you why.
What an odd, random friendship to have.
I think it was more of a forced thing. I don't think.
But why though?
I don't know. Maybe some Roosters thing was together.
But was Hetherington at the Roosters?
I don't know. Mate, we've had everyone.
Yeah. Another performance on Sunday. The Sharks absolutely walked all over the Cowboys. For me, the try from Hazelton, I mean, as good as it was. Jesus.
Man, I don't know what happened there. I only caught the highlights of that one. I watched the first half, and then I was like, mate, this is over. I'm watching something else.
Mate,
it was a shocker.
Like Hazelton stepping through.
Did Cowboys lose the week before?
To
Parra.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
Drinky's 100. Mate, I don't know what happened there. Like, I still think Cowboys have a good side, and thankfully they didn't hit that 50 mark. You know, the old saying is you can't win a grand final if you lost by 50.
I don't think that's it's the funny. They're a bizarre team, the Cowboys, because they've got points just defensively. They just I don't know how serious they take their defense. But the Sharks are flying, like absolutely flying. Nico Hines in great form. Ronaldo got another double. I like what the Sharks are building, and they've still got a couple of players to come back as well.
They're looking good. They're looking pretty good, especially the round one game where they played the Warriors, and
that was massive.
They fought back from that. I like that. They're a premier side, the Warriors, and
you reckon they are?
Yeah. Hey, don't you get your that's a bad game, all right? Don't get your.
No, for me, I do like.
You
the
had
Warriors.
them out of the top 8, then you're sitting there now. Now you don't.
Well,
now you're going back again.
I just what they
tell. You just hate Kiwis. That's what it is. That's what it is, Charlie.
They struggled to put teams away. They had so much possession and territory against the Dragons in the opening 20 minutes. And it was the same against Cronulla.
My Dragons.
It was the same against
Cronulla.
They beat against
Cronulla.
Cronulla. They beat
Melbourne.
I think the Knights and Canberra. Like they won those games, but they couldn't put them away. I don't know what it is. They just really struggle in that department. I like them.
They just love a dogfight.
But with the possession that they had, and I thought they.
What do you think has changed in the Sharks?
I don't know. Like,
Because
they played finals last year.
yeah, I know, but I feel like they're playing a really
They've had a
good style of football.
Yeah, they've had a favourable draw, which helps.
I think last year was Moylan playing.
I think him and Trindle would. battle it out,
Yeah.
but Trindle's
Like now they've got like that halves combination is starting to.
Maybe
build.
that's what it is. Maybe it's that there's no Moylan there, and it's like, well, Trindle's nailed on the 6, and he's got the. I really like Trindle.
Yeah, mate, I love playing again. He's an ultimate competitor. And
I remember bumped into him in a pub in Miranda, and he was like, he didn't really know what he was do. He was a bit up in limbo. He was looking about going to England. I was like, back yourself here. And not that I'm taking any credit for it, but
there we go.
Yeah.
Trindle, you're welcome for Jimmy's wise words.
Yeah. I've done it, Jeremy. Like, I'm all there and be like, that's all my, like, fucking hell, why did I say that? I shouldn't have said that, should I? We're not going to be able to edit this out. Fuck me. That's a shocker for me. I'm really pissed off.
Basically,
anyway,
Trindle, what you want to do is back yourself, mate.
You know what? I'm surprised he's not done an interview. Like, I was just about to give it up until I met James Graham in the fucking hell. Like, he told me half cut that I should just keep going. Oh, what a shocker I've just had. That is awful.
No, but I've always liked him, and even when I played against him.
Me too, hence why I told him to keep back himself.
He's and I think that, like, I only just thought of it now, but I feel like that halves period, like, Trindle's playing the best footy he's ever played. And like now he knows he's got the spot cemented. He's had your words of wisdom.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. And they've already got a combination. They played All-Stars together. He won the bloody Preston Campbell medal. Welcome to the club. Are you
in that club?
Yeah.
Yeah, so am I.
The All-Stars game?
Yeah.
It wasn't the Preston Campbell medal, was it?
It was.
Was it?
I won it, yeah. Legit.
Oh,
yeah. Respect. Maybe that's what really, like, that's what got away. I'm speaking to a Preston Campbell winning medalist here.
See?
I'll stick it.
Nico Hines, Preston Campbell medalist winner.
We should all get together.
Bring Jimmy back to footy. Get him out of retirement.
Yeah, but the Sharks are absolutely flying. Mate, it's been an interesting week in terms of coaches and their press conference. Brad Arthur absolutely tore shreds off his team. It's an interesting one. I think you've got a few ways to do this. I think Brad Arthur's addressed the group, obviously privately, in probably after the Canberra Raiders game, about doing some of these little things. They got the victory against the Cowboys, but then to come out publicly and do it is such a strange thing, to like basically bake and blast the playing group public, like at the press conference, said they're not doing this. Gutherson's there, but I don't know if any of the team would watch the press conference back, but news would filter through.
Yeah, you don't watch coaches.
You don't watch the coach's press conference. What? Have you ever been in a position like that where the coaches baked the team in the press?
Was he baking individuals?
He said some of these people, he called them part-time footballers. And he said that some of these people don't want to do the hard things, they just want to do the easy things.
Again, like, I've never watched a coach's press conference before.
But you didn't watch...
I've never felt the energy of a coach or the news that a coach is bagging the playing group.
But you don't watch it, but you know what gets said, right? Because obviously you hear
really
about,
wrong.
Yeah.
Like,
it's hard to
most
ignore.
times it's just the disappointing. Like the coach will say, "Oh, the players were a bit disappointed in performances," and I don't mind that, but part-time footballers that's a big call.
That's a serious call. Like, I was doing that game at Fox, and we wait for the press conferences. And I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Like, for him to call them that, it's like that news will get
the pressure cooker.
It's an absolute all in play. This is like Brad Arthur's looking at the situation. His team's under pressure. He's under pressure. They didn't make the finals last year after making the the grand final the year before, and even in that grand final year, he was under pressure to keep his job. I think he knows, like, he's got to get something quick, and that's why he's gone all in and put it on the players to get a response because, mate, that Dolphins team, like, credit to them, people like Trey Fuller, Max Plath, they were both outstanding. Josh Kerr did well.
Some of their tries were unbelievable.
Marshall King was awesome, but you shouldn't be getting beaten by that many against a team that is, like, undermanned, like, missing all their fire in Flegler Kafusi. Like, no Farmworth, no Hammer. So there's their class element gone. They're finishing, like, to get.
I was reading they scored the most tries in NRL in 25 minutes.
Really?
8 tries.
Wow. Good on them. Like, everything was sticking for them. I thought, once they got to 22-10, I think it was, like, just kick to corners, and then they put on that magic try, offload. It was like, but it wasn't risky. But the thing about it is, Parra just weren't doing the little things. Like, there was once when Marshall King gets in at dummy half, and you'd know what it's like. You look up and you assess the body language. He just ran past them. They didn't even touch him.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't even touch him. It was...
Yeah. I don't know what happened that game because they were on top and they were winning the game.
They were, but they got 2 really soft tries. So the Lane try, I think he was over the top of Nicarima, and then the Penasini try where he sort of spun 360. Like, it was poor defense from the Dolphins' left edge, but they just clocked off. Like, they just switched off, and Brad Arthur he's right in what he said. Like, they weren't willing to do the little things. They didn't want to do the hard stuff.
But is that a conversation you have to the media?
Well, usually if it's a one-off, no. But maybe he's had this conversation with the group privately and they didn't respond. That's what I mean. This is what I mean by an all-in play. Like, having that conversation with your players privately, it's a lot. And you're putting it on them. But then that's the difference. He's throwing the kitchen sink at this now because I know individually, like, I don't know about you, but if your coach challenges you personally, you want to stand up. But then if he challenges you personally through, like, in a public domain, like,
how would that make you feel?
I'd want to stand up. I'd like to think I would respond directly if it came from the coach, but then if it goes out publicly, I've got to respond. Like, you've got to. You almost don't have a choice. But I think Brad Arthur's done this because he knows his job's on the line. Like, this isn't.
He's been there, like, I don't watch too much on the footy news side, but he's been in the, like, on the Instagram, and, you know, his name's getting tossed around on a lot of different sort of websites, and, like, he's definitely worrying about his
massively
job.
under. Like I say, it's an actual kitchen sink. Everything's in it. His job is on the line. He knows it is, and I think the more I think about it, the more I think he knows it is as well. And this is his play to get out of it. You don't publicly call your team part-timers. Like, that's a calculated phrase.
Yeah.
Like, every now and then these games can happen, and a coach would be, boys, that was shit today, not good enough, you let me down, you let yourselves down, the club, whatever. And then they go into the press conference and go, yeah, it just wasn't our day. But he's obviously got to a stage where he's done that. He's done it in private, and he needs to do this. Because he keeps doing the same thing, and it's not getting results by addressing them privately.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it just, if you publicly go out against your players, it puts a lot of pressure on them again.
But it has to, geez, because they're not responding. So this week when the players do media, they're going to be like, what did you make of your coach's press conference? Like, oh, shit. Yeah. Like, they have to.
But does that create, like, a rift between players and coach?
Well, it might do, but we hear all the time Gutherson, Moses, Brown, like, talk about how much they love Brad Arthur, and we've seen when Brad Arthur's been under pressure before, they've said that one was for him. Gutherson especially, that one was for him. But maybe it's not about liking your coach all the time. It's not about being best friends. It's about having someone that you want to work hard for. And maybe this is his, like I say, the all-in play to actually get a fucking response out of them. Because they just weren't doing little things. It's not about Moses not being there. We speak about the difference Ponga makes to Newcastle. Moses makes a massive difference to Parramatta. But he doesn't make you not work at he doesn't make you stand still at market. And I know the conditions were horrible. And I know what it's like in situations like that. But
it just seemed that game was just worlds apart from their round one game. Like, worlds apart. Like, I felt like Bryce Cartwright in that round one game was doing everything he could. And I felt like it wasn't quite that same Bryce Cartwright on the weekend. But I just, I wonder how valuable Mitch Moses is, and when he comes back, what kind of impact it will have.
Well, they've still got like 5-6 weeks without him.
What's with these foot injuries, man?
I know. Yeah, it's...
Are they out of the 8 for you?
Well, yeah, at the minute.
With the Warriors?
I didn't say the Warriors. I didn't have them in to start. I started to like them, and then because they beat Souths, and I still... See, they put the cleaners through South. The only team they could put away was Souths. And I still think in my head, I'm like still thinking South Sydney are like 2-14. So I thought the Warriors beat them. So that's why I backtracked a little bit. But I was wrong. No, well, if you look at Parramatta's coach, Brad Arthur, his press conference versus Ricky Stewart, Canberra, some young players there had an off night. Cherry Stewart there, the young fullback. But he showed so many positive signs, like, to be under the pump like that, you can go into your shell and you're 18. You want the world to swallow you up, and you're already on the plane back to Canberra. But when he pelted that ball back at Hetherington and Ricky, I thought, this guy's made us something.
Yeah. He's fast too, so he ran that real fast.
In the rain as well. Like the effects were amazing.
That was a big hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's good to see Ricky like this. I mean, he was applauding refs last week. Now he's applauding his players after a loss. It's very unlike Ricky. But I think he knows how to get his playing group going, and he's been doing it for a number of years now. They've been underdog story for a while, and mate. But that Broncos team they're firing.
They are,
even without their Adam Reynolds,
without Haas, without Reynolds. Before we jump into the Broncos, I think Jamal Fogarty he'd be out for 8 to 12. They're saying with a ruptured bicep, which is really awful news. You asked about the loan system earlier. I reckon this is a case where Canberra could go into the market. There's that young kid at Parramatta that they're looking to sign for next season. I don't think Parra will let him go early. Charlie, what's that kid's name?
Yeah, and they won't play him either.
Sanders, yeah. Well, apparently, if he plays, he makes his debut for Parra. Sorry, if he makes his debut for Canberra, Parra get 50 grand for like development fee. But if he makes his debut for Parra and then goes to Canberra, they get nothing. But I mean, that shouldn't make a difference in it.
50k is not.
Yeah, it's not going to break the bank, is it? So
not yours. No.
Hey, but no, I wonder if Canberra would look at the loan market and go, well, Toby Sexton not playing for the Dogs.
I don't see why that wouldn't be a great opportunity to get that guy. Isn't he coming to Canberra?
Yeah, but for next year, I don't know. I think Parra just don't want to release him.
Oh, so that they haven't had a crack at that or anything?
I think they've asked, but I don't know.
Yeah, but in this circumstance, if they get a bit of relief, it might be a little bit different. But I don't see why they're not even playing him.
Oh, I don't think they can till.
Oh, really?
Round, because I think maybe round 11. Or maybe Charlie just says they can play him now, but the Raiders.
That's a big loss. Big loss. because even if you get someone new, you've got Toby Sexton's 21, 22, and Ethan Strange 19.
Yeah.
They're your generals. They're your floor generals. Your fullback's 18.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's amazing that Canberra even are like going as like
as
they're killing the comp at the moment.
Well,
Like,
mate, the open exchanges, like if Hudson Young can ground that ball, it's a different story. I think the score line sort of flattered Brisbane a bit, and it did run away. And in the conditions, Brisbane's ball or ability to move the ball was fantastic. And Canberra like banging on the door. Hudson Young should have probably scored. And then you deal with Reece Walsh.
And you lost your halfback at half time.
Yeah.
You don't really carry a spare halfback on the bench.
Mate, that try that Reece Walsh scored.
He's silly, man. Even that second one was just all gas. Like,
yeah, that first one was pretty special.
Yeah, he's a pretty special player.
Like, I thought he like eased his way back in last week, and this week it was like far out.
He's so quick, man. I don't get it.
His ability to move at pace. Like, you know, some people like step and you can see like they slow down, they have to accelerate. He's sort of just like, it's not even a step. It's like, is it guile? I don't know. Is there a difference between agility and guile?
He sort of reminds me of when I used to watch, I didn't watch him like back in the day, but when I would watch highlights and Darren Lockyer would, when he was a fullback.
But not as fast.
Darren Lockyer was just like sort of run at the same speed either direction. And who knows, he could be a nice move to the 6 jersey. And one day. But yeah, his game on the weekend was incredible. Like, he takes some. It just seems like every time he gets the ball, the defense is nervous or under pressure. Like, every time.
Well, even talking about that cheese, like last week when he came back, I've turned into fan mode. I'm like, oh, he should be doing that. Like, you expect what he did. Like, you know, that run for the try. Like, I want to see him do that every touch. Right. And then that first game back, I'm like, he's. And
I did that yesterday. I was watching the Garcia versus Haney fight. I was like, mate, hit him with your left hook. It's not that hard.
It's not that hard to run at that pace and score absolute worldy tries each and every week. Watch, come on. Pull your finger out. I think the Broncos' big statement, though.
To do what they're doing at the moment, I think they're probably the number one contenders against Penrith at the moment.
At the moment, they're still,
especially like to do what they're doing without Haas and Reynolds. It's a pretty big statement on where their club is at and how Kevy's been as a coach.
Yeah, I agree. I think.
Like the good coach teams, they get it done without star players. Like Penrith missing Cleary, they're still getting it done. Broncos missing Reynolds, missing Haas, they're still getting the job done.
Yeah, I agree. I think they are the contender at the moment, but there's plenty of football and improvement in a number of teams. So, have we got questions from listeners, Charlie? We've got no questions from our listeners. Well, listeners,
I'll give you a question. It's actually more of a fact. You got to answer. You got to get close to it. How many sixes did Don Bradman hit in his Test career?
I wouldn't even know where to.
If you, he played 52 tests, I think.
52 tests. And how many sixes did he get? All right, 52. I'm going to say average 4 a test.
What's your answer?
What's the maths on that? How many tests did he do?
52.
52 times 4 is 208.
He only hit 6.
Really?
In his whole Test career.
Really?
He only hit 6. Is that weird? I saw someone's theory behind it was you can't get out if the ball's on the ground. You can't get caught if the ball's on the ground. And also I read, so I was going through these little things, that the St. George Illawarra 11 in a row is the most championships won in a premier state like of sport in a row ever.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And Knights have never won on a Thursday.
Newcastle.
It was on this little thing. What's your most outrageous statement? Yeah. Newcastle have never won on a Thursday, apparently. Oh, these are all
ever.
These are all Instagram comments as well. So the Don Bradman I know because I searched it up for sure.
I've got a question. It's for you. How's your driving been this week? Any close calls?
No, I don't know. I'm pretty tunnel vision in most parts of my life. So apparently, producer Charlie at the back there was on his phone. Nah. He's seen me on a roundabout. He tried to take me out.
It's typical.
I don't know.
I think he. I think he was trying to take you out because he wants Midweek Matters to be the number one show. Or he thought if I can crash into Cheese, maybe he'll like have 2 spots this week. And
I'm on the way, mate. I can just walk here if I wanted to.
No, I mean like just severely injure you. Yeah. And he is a big Roosters fan, so maybe he's not liking what you produce. It's like need to get Sandon Smith more time at 9. Maybe he just doesn't like
Sandon's out of his brace too, guys. Everyone,
is he?
I think he wore it 2 weeks longer than he needed to. He got a little applaud at training today. Like in Sandon, his ultimate recovery is kept the brace on 2 weeks longer than he's needed it on. It's like an elbow one.
Did no one tell him? Like did the physio not think?
I think he wanted a bit of sympathy, but I think it's locked in that position. So I think it was more convenient for him when he's barbecuing alone.
What you mean? Yes.
Do you know who's undercover funny guy? Justin Holbrook. He is hilarious.
A few of the St. Helens boys said he was good value. Can you give us an example of something?
No, he's just like he can't. There's no examples. It's just day to day meeting. He's just got the mojo. Yeah,
I like it. All right, Cheese. Well, listeners, give us some good questions next week. But yeah, thanks for another edition of Jam and Cheese. We said at the start of the show.
Actually, I do have a question.
Oh, go on.
Yeah. If there was a wheel and you had a 70% chance of winning $2 billion straight to your bank account, but the other 30% is death.
No.
Would you spin the wheel?
No.
Really?
100% not.
Yeah.
Wouldn't even
10%?
No.
I like it. There you go.
1% I wouldn't.
Me, I'm fucking spinning that wheel. That was
Olympic-sized swimming pool.
Which is
whatever. You don't need the dimensions.
I need volumes.
You just look. You imagine you're in an Olympic-sized swimming pool, right? In the Olympic-sized swimming pool is a great white shark. A great white shark that is big enough and capable enough to eat a human being, right? You stand at one of the lengths of the Olympic-sized swimming pool, so you can stand right in the corner. The shark is up the other end. It is behind a fence, a steel fence. The fence comes up the moment you break the plane, i.e. you enter the water in whichever way, shape or form. You have to swim one width or get from one end of the Olympic swimming pool, just the width, to the other side and get out to successfully receive $1 million.
$1 million? Fuck, no fucking way.
Yeah, but but here's the thing. The shark doesn't know the rules of the game. So the electric fence goes as soon as you break the plane. So you could put your foot into the water and try go nice like stealth mode, or you could just dive in straight away. Like dive in, boom. As soon as your fingers enter the water, boom. The comes up, and then you go swim as fast as you can, maybe potentially alerting the shark, right? Okay, all right. Well, you won't do it for $1 million.
I'm not even fucking thinking about it.
Are you joking? For $1 million?
I'm not even thinking about it for $1 million.
But you do the spin the wheel at a 30% chance.
What do you think the odds are of a shark killing me in the water?
No, well, you got to remember the shark's just cruising around.
It's a great white.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
They don't cruise.
It doesn't know the rules of the game. So it might
he doesn't know.
That's why.
What's the rules of the game in the ocean? It's still going to munch you.
But it's got to swim. It's got to swim to you, and then it's got to realize something's going on. There's some prey over there. I'm going to go and get it.
Yeah, I'm fucking not for
all right,
$1 billion. I'm thinking about it.
But mate, you just said you'd spin a 30. Mate, your odds of survival are way higher than 30%.
Really? See, I don't know because I've never jumped in a bloody swimming pool with a great white shark.
Well, you don't jump in.
Have you ever seen someone jump in a swimming pool?
Stealth mode, that's the way to do it. Enter calm, cool, collected. Don't show panic. Stay calm. Walk
Here
through
he is.
the pool.
The Pommy's teaching us how to swim with a great white shark.
No, because if you go in and you're flapping around doing front crawl like a lunatic, the shark's
but I
going to think
get
I'm
there
going to
in 8 seconds, I reckon, at the Olympic-sized swimming pool.
Swim width, you'd be quicker than 8 seconds.
25 metres. I'll go there in about 8 seconds in the water, I reckon. I'm taking my 8 seconds and 45 seconds of slow, but I'm still not doing it for $1 million. No way.
All right, then would you do it for $1 million if you swam next to the edge? But if you get out of the edge, you have to pay me 50 grand.
Yeah, I'd do that.
You do that, so you get 50. You can do.
Because I'd go sneaky then.
Yeah, there's no because
I'd go sneaky then.
There are some examples that do this with like there's no way to get out and turn left. Sorry, I'm assuming turn left, like to hop out of the pool if you're under panic. If you panic, I could do a big steel fence up there.
Wait, what side is the shark on?
The shark's down the other end.
The other end.
Yeah.
Oh. See, I thought he was like...
No, the shark's down the other.
Still, that's worse for me. Because I've got to look at the shark. How are you going to not panic when you're looking at a great white shark?
Well, 50 grand if you want to get out.
Big enough to eat you. Nah, yeah,
it might just bite your leg off.
I'd do the 50 grand one because I'd go for $1 million knowing I can probably get out of the pool.
If I ever come into money, which I'm probably not going to, these are the sorts of thing I would like to see set up.
That's a good question though, but fuck, $1 million, no chance.
All right, well, see what happens, listeners, when you don't put questions in. We'll wrap that up. Cheese is a shit house and wouldn't swim.
I'd love to see. Look at this tough guy, Charlie. What would you do, Charlie? What would you do?
You don't need 50 grand. You don't need $1 million. You can just get them from thebuyround.com. So yeah, check them out. What would you do, Charlie? Would you do it? He said
thank you.
No. All right. Well, that's it for another week of Jam and Cheese.
Charlie doesn't swear.
Thanks for listening, everyone.